Hello there, cruise fans. Welcome back to the Cruise Site podcast. You know we love keeping up to date on all the latest cruise news. And, well, today's no different.
Nope, you've got a whole bunch to unpack.
All right, so first off, let's head over to the West Coast. Those wildfires in California have been making headlines, and, I'm sure some folks with cruises out of Long Beach are getting a little anxious.
Yeah, definitely a situation to watch closely. I mean, they've already burned a massive area, like over 43 square miles. But the good news is most of the fires are about 30 miles north of the actual cruise port.
So no immediate danger to the ships or the port itself.
Not right now, no. Carnival, which has quite a few ships sailing from Long Beach, they've said their cruises are still a go. They are monitoring everything, though, just in case.
Of course, safety's always got to come first. But even if the cruises aren't directly affected, getting to Long Beach could be a headache with all the smoke and, potential flight disruptions.
You're right. Air travel is definitely something to keep an eye on. Anyone cruising out of Long Beach soon should stay in touch with their airlines and with Carnival. Just be prepared for anything.
Always good advice.
Yeah.
All right, enough with the serious stuff for a minute. Let's talk about something a little more fun. Pups on cruises. Margaritaville at Sea just announced they're doing a dog-friendly cruise. And now everyone's wondering, are the other big cruise lines going to follow suit? What have you heard?
Well, it seems like Margaritaville might be going solo on this one. John Heald, he's Carnival's brand ambassador. He recently addressed the whole dog on cruises rumors.
Is Carnival jumping on the dog bandwagon?
Actually, he pretty much shut those rumors down. Said Carnival has zero plans to let dogs on board their ship.
Oh, bummer for all those dog-loving cruisers out there. Any idea why Carnival's not keen on this whole dog-friendly thing?
Heald mentioned a few concerns. Logistics, mainly. Think about it. Keeping things clean and sanitary with thousands of passengers is a huge job already. Add a bunch of dogs to the mix, that just complicates things,
Yeah, that's a good point. Plus, there's the whole space issue. Where would all the dogs hang out?
Exactly. It's not like they can just, roam free all over the ship. Did Carnival actually ask their passengers about this, though?
They did, actually. Heald polled his followers on Facebook, and a whopping 97% said, no thanks, they'd rather not have dogs on board.
Wow, 97%. That's pretty clear. Sounds like Carnival knows what their cruisers want. So for now, it looks like furry friends will have to stay home while their humans enjoy that Carnival fun. What about service animals, though?
Yeah, good point. What's the policy on that?
Same as always, certified service dogs are definitely still welcome on Carnival ships, same as with all the major cruise lines, actually.
All right, good to know. Let's move on down to Miami now. Looks like MSC Cruises has hit a bit of a roadblock with their fancy new mega terminal. What happened there?
Construction delays, unfortunately, and that's pushed back one of the MSC's Seaside sailings from Miami.
Oh, no. That's got to be a bummer for the folks booked on that cruise. Which sailing is it, and how long's the delay?
The sailing that got bumped is the one leaving on January 26th. Because of the terminal construction and limited spots for ships to dock, the Seaside's departure got moved from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., and embarkation's now at 6 p.m.
Wow, that's a pretty big delay. What's MSC doing for the passengers who are, stuck dealing with this?
They are trying to make things right, yeah. MSC is giving everyone booked on that sailing a $150 onboard credit per person.
$150? That's pretty generous. Maybe enough for a spa treatment or a fancy dinner.
Exactly. Gotta look for the silver linings, right? Speaking of things that can kind of put a damper on a cruise, let's talk about Royal Caribbean. There's been some news about Legionella cases on one of their ships.
Yeah, I saw that. What's the latest?
So it's the Symphony of the Seas. 2 guests who sailed, one in October, the other in December. They were diagnosed with Legionella afterwards.
Legionella? That sounds serious. Should people be worried?
Well, Royal Caribbean's taking it very seriously. They are letting all guests who are on the Symphony of the Seas during those months know, just as a precaution. But, there's no proof that they actually got it on the ship.
So it's more like, better safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And Legionella isn't, contagious. You can't catch it from another person. It's from inhaling water droplets, tiny ones that have the bacteria.
Gotcha. So it's not like, a cold going around.
Nope. They might have been exposed somewhere else entirely, either before or after their cruise. But just to be safe, Royal Caribbean's following all the CDC guidelines, and they've really ramped up their cleaning and sanitation on the Symphony of the Seas.
That's good to hear. Always reassuring to know they're taking all the right steps. All right, last but not least, let's talk tech. Norwegian Cruise Line launched a new app last year, but it sounds like it's been a bit buggy. What's the scoop?
Yeah, a little bumpy rollout, unfortunately. The app first came out back in August 2024, and there were good reviews initially. But since they got rid of the old app on January 1st, a lot of folks have been reporting issues.
What kind of issues?
Mostly loading problems and those annoying blank screens. And some of the new features are a bit confusing or just, buggy. Still a work in progress, I guess.
Yeah, that's a shame. A good cruise app can be super helpful for planning and, making the most of your trip.
Absolutely. Should make things easier, not more stressful. Hopefully they'll get it all sorted out soon.
Are they doing anything to fix it?
Yeah, they're definitely aware of the problems and they're working on it. They're encouraging folks to keep the app updated because they're pushing out new features and, bug fixes all the time. And if it's still acting up, they can always just use the Norwegian website instead.
Good advice. Well, that wraps up our cruise news for today, but don't go anywhere yet.
We'll be right back with more cruise chatter after a quick break.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the Cruise Site podcast for all the latest cruise updates and, all the juicy cruise news.
And be sure to check out thecruisesite.com to book your next amazing cruise vacation. We've got awesome deals on all the top cruise lines.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you back here soon for more cruise fun.
Bon voyage.
And we're back with more cruise news and chatter here on the Cruise Site podcast.
It's amazing how the cruise industry always seems to adapt and bounce back from whatever gets thrown its way.
It really is. Like with those wildfires we were just talking about, it makes you think about, the bigger picture. How are these kinds of events impacting the cruise industry overall?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've seen how hurricanes and stuff can mess up itineraries, even damage ports. Are wildfires becoming a bigger concern? Well, cruise lines and ports are definitely paying attention. We're seeing more of these extreme weather events, and wildfires are becoming more frequent and intense in lots of places. So, yeah, it's a growing risk, not just for itinerary changes, but, air quality, safety, even insurance costs could go up.
Like a domino effect, right?
Okay.
Even if the port's fine, the fires can still impact travel, supplies, the whole experience.
Exactly. It shows how important it is to be prepared, have backup plans and all that. Cruise lines and ports have got to be able to adapt quickly and communicate clearly with passengers to, minimize disruptions.
Makes sense. Speaking of, things that can impact a cruise, those Legionella cases on Royal Caribbean's Symphony of Seas, that definitely got people's attention. It's good they're taking precautions, but it does make you think about, hygiene and sanitation on ships.
Right, and cruise ships are like floating cities with thousands of people in close quarters, so germs and bacteria, that's always a concern.
Yeah, and it's not just Legionella. We've seen those norovirus outbreaks and stuff before, too.
Absolutely. That's why cruise lines are so strict about cleaning and sanitizing, cabins, restaurants, pools, everything. And passengers, they got to do their part too, like washing their hands often and staying away from others if they're feeling sick.
Definitely a shared responsibility. Okay, back to that Norwegian Cruise Line app for a sec. Seems like every new app has some glitches at first, but this one's been, well, a little rougher than usual.
Yeah, I get it. A cruise app's supposed to make things easier, not harder. Building a complex app, it's not easy. It takes time to get it running smoothly.
So what can people do if they're having problems?
The good news is Norwegian's working on it. They've put out a bunch of updates, and they're telling people to keep the app updated, and to contact customer service if they're still having issues.
And in the meantime, they can always just use the website.
Right. Yep, exactly. Might not be as handy as the app, but it's reliable until they get those bugs figured out. Okay, let's switch gears for a minute. Have you noticed how popular those expedition cruises are getting?
Oh, yeah. It's a whole different kind of cruising, isn't it?
Totally. More about adventure than, lounging by the pool. It's not for everyone, but if you want to explore those remote exotic places, get up close with nature, it's amazing.
Sounds incredible. But I bet they're pretty pricey, right?
They can be, yeah. But there are actually options for every budget, from basic to, super luxurious. It just depends what you're looking for.
So there's an expedition cruise out there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The serious adventurer and the more casual explorer.
Pretty much. Doesn't matter if you're a seasoned traveler or a first-timer. There's something out there for everyone.
That's awesome. So we've got luxury cruises, budget cruises, family cruises, expedition cruises. It seems like there really is a cruise for everyone these days.
That's the beauty of it. Cruising has come a long way from just buffets and pools. It's a whole different world out there.
Absolutely. And with new ships and destinations popping up all the time, the possibilities are, well, endless. Speaking of keeping things fresh, what's the latest on those cruise line loyalty programs? I saw some talk online about changes.
Yeah, there have been some tweaks. A few cruise lines have announced, changes to their programs, mostly to the perks and benefits you get at different levels.
Makes sense. Those perks are a big deal for people who cruise a lot, racking up those points. What's behind these changes, though?
It's a few things, really. The cruise industry's super competitive these days, so cruise lines gotta find ways to stand out, keep their loyal customers happy.
It's like a race to win over those repeat cruisers.
Exactly. And then cruise lines are also, watching their costs, making sure their loyalty programs are sustainable. Those perks, especially for the high-level members, they can add up quickly.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Keep the loyal cruisers happy, but also make sure the program makes sense financially.
You got it. It's tricky. Cruisers need to keep an eye on those program updates to make sure they're getting the best deal.
Good advice. Okay, so we've talked about wildfires and Legionella, dog-friendly cruises and expedition voyages, loyalty programs. Is there anything else we need to cover before we wrap up?
I think we've hit the highlights, but, it's worth mentioning how resilient the cruise industry is.
Oh, yeah. Through all the stuff we've talked about, natural disasters, pandemics, you name it, the cruise industry keeps on going.
It's amazing. People love to cruise, and the industry, it just keeps innovating and adapting.
It's a dynamic industry, always evolving. Makes me excited to see what the future holds.
Me too. So, with that, I think we've covered it all for today's episode of the Cruise Site podcast. We hope you found it informative and maybe even got you thinking about your next cruise adventure.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast for all the latest cruise news, tips, and insights.
And head over to thecruisesite.com to book that dream cruise vacation. We've got amazing deals on all the top cruise lines. You're sure to find the perfect cruise for you.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Happy cruising.
It's really incredible when you think about how much cruising has changed over the years. From those old school ocean liners to the mega ships we see today, it's a whole different world.
Yeah, it really is the technology, the destinations, the onboard experiences. It's like everything's constantly evolving.
Speaking of evolving, have you noticed how people are looking for more personalized cruise experiences these days?
Oh, absolutely. People don't just want to sit back and be entertained anymore. They want to be more involved, whether it's unique shore excursions, cooking classes, even behind the scenes, ship tours.
It's like they want to be part of the action, not just watching from the sidelines.
Exactly. And cruise lines are getting on board with this trend. They're offering more and more ways for passengers to, create their own adventures.
And, of course, we can't talk about the future of cruising without bringing up sustainability.
It's a huge topic, and the industry's definitely taking it seriously.
We've seen some positive changes lately with cruise lines investing in, new technologies to lessen their environmental impact.
Yeah, like more fuel-efficient ships, better waste management systems, working with conservation groups and local communities. It's all about moving towards a greener future.
It's good to see that commitment to protecting the oceans and the places they visit.
Definitely, sustainability is not just a trendy word. It's a driving force behind a lot of the innovation we're seeing in the cruise industry.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered everything on our cruise news agenda for today.
Yeah, I think we've hit all the major points, from those wildfires and the Legionella cases to the Norwegian Cruise Line app and the rise of expedition cruises.
It's been a jam-packed episode full of cruise news and insights.
We hope you enjoyed it and maybe even got some ideas for your next cruise vacation.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the Cruise Site podcast for more cruise updates, tips, and, of course, all the latest news.
And be sure to visit thecruisesite.com to book that dream cruise you've been thinking about. We've got fantastic deals on all the top cruise lines.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and as always,
Happy cruising!